Howdy neighbors, welcome back to the channel. Angel Feathers is a moderately known archetype in the sense of being paired with Gize, but since Gize is very linear in its playstyle and you don't really have a lot of innovation, we want to explore a more creative side of Angel Feather playing around Gavrail, since she has gotten the history stride support. So for our grade 3 lineup, we are going to be having the Black Shiver Gavrail as our main grade 3, having history support striding into this over and over again, and its defensive bonus that you get is always going to be able to help you out. For our other grade 3s, it's going to be Black Observe Hamiel, her once per turn ability of when they are placed. If you have a Vanguard with black in its name, counterblast one, call a card from your damage zone and deal yourself a damage. And then the other ability of when you're attacking, you get to counterblast 3 and deny your opponent a chance of being able to use their PGs. And you also put itself into the soul, feeding into other resources that you're going to be using during the game. For our last grade 3 lineup is going to be Reverend's Rush Dragon. Pair this along your Heal Guardians. It gives you a way to heal whenever you want to. For our grade 2 lineup, we're going to be running the Black Dream Zabinia. Her skill is after you do your rescue, when this unit is placed on rear, if you have a Vanguard with Gavrail in its name, counterblast 1, soul blast 1, put a card from your hand into damage zone face up and choose a face up card from your damage zone and call it a rear guard circle, and this unit gets plus 2k until end of turn. Then choose a card from your damage zone and heal it, and choose one of your Vanguards and deal it a damage. Knight of Execution Yuong, it allows you to add back any of your utility pieces. Counterblast 1 for your Black Accuse Jafkiel, allowing you to until end of turn this gets plus 3k, then you return a card from your damage zone back to your hand, and if you return a card you deal yourself a damage. You can only use this effect once per turn. For our attack extender that we're going to be running, so it's just like our pseudo Crayon Tiger, it's more or less our Crayon Tiger for this archetype. When this unit attacks your Vanguard, Black Slice Harut has this ability. You may pay the cost, you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, you search for one card from among them, put it into your damage zone face up. Then put the rest to the bottom of your deck and then choose a face-up card from your damage zone and call it to rear guard. For our grade 1 lineup, we are running Battle Cupid Nociel, a 6k, 5k shield. You think, oh, it's unassuming, but it's a very powerful card. If you have an Angel Feather Vanguard, you could pay this cost to choose the Angel Feather card from your hand, put it in the damage zone, and then if you do, choose a card from your damage zone and put it into your hand. Its only important part is that you need an Angel Feather Vanguard, and then you need to choose an Angel Feather card from your hand. That's it. Nothing else. And then you can re-add anything. Another way of re-adding cards from your damage zone back to hand is going to be Black Closure Zophiel. Their skill is going to be the same as Nociel, but Nociel needs you to put this in the Guardian Circle, whereas Zophiel only needs you to put it on your Rear Guard Circle, but it is only once per turn. Aidroid Lamido gives you a way of being able to have guard restrict against your opponent, especially if you have a second grade 3 in your soul, which can be really easily accessed by Hamiel. You put this into your soul, you retire this after you use its ability by counterblasting 1, and when you attack, your opponent can't use any sentinels from hand. And of course, if you had put a card into your opponent's damage zone, or a card had been put into your opponent's damage zone during this turn, it gets continuous plus 5. Black Call Nakir is one of the only ways we get access to Gavrail, so having to see her is going to be very important for you in this deck. And a card that we can use to manipulate our deck a little bit better is going to be Kind Care Sartiel. Put this to the bottom of your deck when your card is put into your damage zone during your turn. It's auto ability, so it triggers the moment it happens. You may pay the cost. If you do, Soul Charge 1, choose a normal unit and trigger unit from your drop zone, return them to your deck and shuffle your deck. First Aid Celestial Peniel is going to be our V starter. Getting a quick shield is going to be very important for our damage manipulation. For our over trigger, it's going to be the purple over trigger, being able to heal our damage down, call a card from our hand. One cool interaction with this card, since you re-add a card from your damage zone, you can oftentimes have this sitting in your damage zone, chilling out and just waiting for your cards. And if you hit OT, you could bounce this back to your hand, call it a rear guard circle, and stack a heal trigger on top. It's scary. Then we have our damage crits, working alongside Gavrail to get you the extra soul you'll need and the card draw that you'll need definitely. This deck doesn't really run that low on hand size. I feel like this deck draws a decent amount, especially that this also triggers on your rescue checks by taking a damage that counts. Then here we have our grade 3 heal triggers that work together with our Reverence Rush Dragon that we mentioned. For our Stride crits, we are running 3 of them. 3 Draw Sentinels. Battle Cupid No Seal, which is funny because this is also Battle Cupid No Seal, so we can't run more copies of it because we only have this. I think this is the only Sentinels that we have for Angels. Draw Sentinels. Then Doctoroid Referals. This card used to be a mainstay staple for a lot of archetypes. I think some Angel builds don't even run this anymore in their list, but I still feel like for this deck specifically, since we manipulate our damage a lot more aggressively as a battle strategy in comparison to other decks that use it a little more defensively, I think Referos is very good in this deck. Its skill of being able to choose 2 cards from your damage zone for CB1, it sends itself back and you get to draw a card. And you also get to put two cards from your deck into damage zone face up. For order, we are running Elementaria Sanctitude. Another order you could possibly consider running is Bracing Angel Ladder, which gives you a grade 3 in Soul, which feeds your Air Raid Lambdo, and also just gives you extra Soul for all of your other skills you're going to be using this game. For our G Zone, we're playing Harmonics Messiah. It gives you all the things you'll need. Gives you a free damage, gives you a draw, gives you your Guardian ticket. Yeah, plays against Link Joker really well. I think it's one of the only other ways outside of Svasselt of being able to play into Link Joker pretty consistently. Here is Holy Seraph Uriel, our History Stride, getting our Protect 1s from our deck. We do not play with Protect 2s in this archetype. You could give it a try if it feels better this way for you, but Protect 1s is the way to go for us for now. When this hits, when this doesn't hit, it still hits. It's still on hits. When an attack hits, look at the top 3, then choose card from among them, put it in damage zone, shuffle your deck. If you put a card into your damage zone, choose a card face up, a grade 2 or less card from your damage zone, call to Rearguard Circle. It gets +2. Allows you to call any utility grade 2s, which extends either your attacks or it gives you some extra of your pieces back from your damage zone back into hand. Our other stride that we're running is Holy Seraph Safkiel. Discarding a card from your hand, you're thinking, oh man, that's a bit of a minus. Don't worry about it. Choose it face down. Choose up to 3 cards in total from drop zone and circles other than Vanguard. Put them into damage zone. So you need 2 circles, which works really good into lock and control archetypes. Put them to damage zone. Then all of your front row gets plus 10k power until end of turn for each normal unit. It is an act ability, so you can pre-commit a board first if it's not like removed or wiped or anything from your opponent's abilities, and then you could choose like a bunch of normal units or triggers, and this card gets a drive check for every trigger that will put into your damage zone, and then for every normal unit for non-trigger put into your damage zone, choose a card from your damage zone and heal it as well. So for every trigger you get a drive check. For every normal unit, you get plus 10k to your front row. Fanatic Seraph Gavrail Eden's ability of Rescue 1. Choose a card of the same name as this card and turn it face up. You deal yourself a damage and heal a damage. Or heal a damage and deal yourself damage. That's how Rescue works. Then, when this unit attacks, you choose up to the same number of cards in your G zone and you superior call them to Rearguard Circle, to separate Rearguard Circles, and then for every of those units that you call to Rearguard Circle, you do have to put a card in your damage zone face down, but it's whatever, it usually doesn't matter, you're fine. It's for your extra push and they all get plus 3k until end of turn. Holy Seraph Basasaya, being one of our win conditions in our deck, has a cool layer of skills. One of them being her GB3 allows you to actually no longer lose at 6. It actually allows you to lose at 7. But if you happen to have 5 other cards face up in your G zone, it becomes 8 instead of 7. Now, no longer you'd be worried about losing on a certain amount of damage. But here's also the kicker. Using CB4 until end of turn, when your opponent will call cards from their hand to the Guardian Circle, they must call the same number of cards as a number of your damage zone. So if you're at 6 or 7 while you have the 8 skill active, your opponent needs to commit their whole entire hand. And in combination with Black Slice Harut or Hamiel, for example, it makes it very tricky for your opponent who wants to guard. For our last of our attackers in our G zone, just a utility card, Holy Seraph Raphael, GB2, you turn the same copy of her face up and you heal a damage. Super simple, super easy. It keeps you a little bit longer in the game, especially if you're having a very weird start into certain control matchups. It's also pretty good. For our G-Guard lineup that we are running, we have Holy Seraph Parasail. During the battle of your opponent's Vanguard attack, if the number you face on cards in your damage zone is 2 or more, this gets plus 10k. And if the number you face on cards in your damage zone is 3 or more, this gets an additional plus 10k. It becomes 35k shield. Black Seraph Illaleth, giving you a huge amount of shield by soul blasting one, turning another G Guardian face up, and having for all of your face up cards in your G zone, you get shield value for that. And also in combination with Basasile, oh, so much shield. Holy Seraph Suriel, having her rescue Counterblast 1. If you do look at the top of your deck, you put it at the top or bottom of your deck, and choose a card from your damage zone, and you heal it, and you deal yourself a damage. Then to round up our G zone, Super Mobile Hospital Firmament Glans. It's Counterblast 3, Soul Blast 1, choose a card from your damage zone, and put it in the Guardian Circle. Gives you a pseudo heal that allows you to slow down your opponent's aggression. Cards to keep are gonna be Black Shiver Gavrail or Black Call Nakir, both being very important pieces for you to stride and search for your Gavrail. Keeping Gavrail in hand obviously is going to be your main priority, but having Nakir as your secondary option is going to be able to search it for you directly, especially if you have another grade 3 like a Heal Guardian in hand. So here is the Holy Seraph Basasile combo here. I'm going to use this very loosely because you have so many different routes with this deck that even if you see something that I might have missed, it possibly might also be correct, but this is all going to be dependent on your opponent's board state, game state, whether or not they have any pieces to retire in hand. If you do want to try to go for a finishing turn, you can go into Basasile. If you think you can't finish them, hopefully you already strode into Basasile earlier for you to be on 6. If not, be a little bit on lower damage, and you can go for something like Zafkiel, and you can kind of do the same combo as well. You're going to need a combination of Jafkiel, Sofkiel, Hamiel, or Zabania. We already paid our cost for Stride already. We can choose to Counterblast 1 to check the top of our deck to call a card to see if we can control more extra pieces. But if you feel like you're going to be churning through a little bit of the Counterblast in here, you can opt not to. I'm going to call Jafkiel here, Counterblasting 1. I am going to either Counterblast the Reverence Rush Dragon, because we can also opt to get the Reverence Rush heal off here and just CB and then take it very slow and try again next turn with an attack extender. Or we can Counterblast 1, re-add the Harut back to our hand, and then we take a damage, which is a critical trigger. We could possibly give everything to our Vanguard so that in case we want to call over our rear guards, we can choose to pivot if we want. Let's call it all to Van. Then here is the Harut. Okay, then we have our Vanguard skill, Counterblast 1 to 4. They need to guard with a little bit more here. This critical will go into our damage zone. This also gets plus 3k. We still have Zophiel in our hand, so we can also use Zophiel to choose a trigger to put into our damage zone, and then we could possibly get back another Gavrail for possibly next turn, and we could use it this way. Then we would swing here or swing with boost, either your preference. They need to guard with 5 to 6 cards in hand. Then you swing here for 16. So Counterblast 1. We Counterblast the critical trigger, calling this, calling that skill. This allows us to choose a card from our soul here, soul blast it, We choose a card from our hand to put it into the damage zone. This is a pseudo card. So we could probably choose one of the other triggers, possibly this crit, and call it. We heal 1 and deal ourselves a damage, which will be another Zophiel, will be a Sartiel here. And then we can choose send the Sartiel back in by soul charging 1, which gives us a little bit of soul for our other pieces for next turn. So basically effectively we have healed from 2 damage down, and we still have our guard restrict even for 4 cards or 5 cards still. This can work a little better with Zafkiel instead of Basasael, but this works well enough too that allows you to have the option to pivot which direction that you want to. The other direction that we could have gone to instead of Zabania, which would have kept this crit here and possibly another damage in our damage zone, is after we ended up using the skill, having this back in our hand, we could then still play this effect of CB3 after you draw check some triggers. And of course this still needs to take a damage, and that was another crit too, so that you probably could have gotten a crit and power here. So again, it's free form. It's completely mental how many options that you have to choose from in this archetype without having to think about Gize as an alternate win condition, and you can stave off whatever opponent's aggression that could be tossing to you. And of course we still have our triple drive, so it'll be like Vanguard swing, that's our draw, and then this would have been our drive check, and then in between we could have chosen to use Sartiel to send back itself back to deck, to send our triggers back into as well. Reverent Rush also getting us to heal, so it heals us down if we're doing the Zafkiel line, or even the Basasai line if we were thinking, nah, I might not kill my opponent yet, I'm gonna try to see if I can this turn, but I'll try next turn if it doesn't work this turn, and you can save the Haru to your damage for next turn. You know, it's just so much lines. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. If there's any other comments in the comment section below, so thank you guys for giving me feedback on it, that oh, you saw some lines that I probably might have missed, or the optimal power was probably not optimal to you guys. You could, there's that's the thing with premium and these hand testing, we don't have an exact indicator of the full extent in the limitations of what this deck can do. This is under the best case scenarios, and some of them are also going to be under your worst case scenario as well. This is one of the peak that you can hit with this deck. So be awesome, stay awesome, have a wonderful day. Thank you all for tuning in and stopping on by. If you like this content, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. It really helps out. Take care.